I guess first of all, I want to say thank you to Jen and everyone here at Arts East for inviting me to do this. I also want to thank my husband Jake and my son Connor who helped all this come together in a pretty short amount of time. I'm grateful. And then of course I want to thank all of you because I would not be here and get this opportunity and have this purpose to share with you all today. So thank you so much for coming out. I didn't know what to expect, so I'm just thrilled that you all decided to come and see the art. This specific show has quite a few different mediums in it, and I wanted to share the differences so that you guys know what you're looking at. There's original pieces that are like this, and they are just the sagebrush. And if there's big chunks and stuff like this, it's willow trees. It's off of our ranch and surrounding area. Some of them look like natural materials, but they've been cast in bronze. And they're mostly over here, and they're on display for 2 weeks. They have to go to other places, but we're happy to bring them in so people can experience them while they're here. And then my paintings. So, and they're a combination of oil and acrylic pieces. So that's that. And then I also thought it might be nice to share the inspiration behind the work, and that's just my horses. That's just my horses. They're my heart, and they're golden to me, and I'm with them a lot. And I think that my art sort of shares them too, in a way. So that's my work. It's me.
I think Brenna was willing to answer some questions if anybody had any that they'd like to ask.
I have a question. What public spaces are your sculpture pieces placed in?
There are lots of different places, and some I don't know. They've taken on a life of their own.
Correct.
But I can tell you where they're showcased, and that's in Santa Fe, in Montana, wine country outside of Portland, in Newburgh. Triple Creek Ranch is a place in Montana that has a lot of large-scale bronze. Pocatello Zoo has a big bear. They're all over. Yeah.
How do you go from a piece of sagebrush to a horse?
Just like this natural one?
Yeah.
So it's usually by scale. And I'm riding and outside a lot, so I'm seeing pieces and I kind of let them speak to me when I see something in them, and that gives me the scale. And so as soon as that starts to happen, then that horse starts to come together because other pieces of that scale will come to it, and that can be what takes a really long time, is finding all that right scale. And then when the horse is laying there ready to be put together, it comes together really fast. If that makes sense.
As an artist.
Yeah, I feel like it's the best when I can see them already and then I just put them together.
Can you give us a little history of how your art developed, like when you were in grade school and on a high school? When did it really start to bloom? What did your mother see in you?
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I'm talking to so many people who know me better than I know. So, for those who don't know, I was adopted and went to a working cattle ranch when I was a baby, 18 months old. And my parents told me that I just had this instant connection with the horses. And so, as I started to get into materials, like Mom and Dad recycled before it was the cool thing to do. There were always materials around the house, and they would let me basically take anything I wanted to make things. I've done it just because I love it. And in preschool too, Billy just would let me paint. I was just a kid who just wanted to just sort of not interact with the other kids, but just paint and paint. And so they always had me set up there. Mom would always have Play-Doh on the table. They just let me do what I love to do. And then someone asked me this earlier and I thought about it, but I think that as I grew and became more independent as a little, getting bigger, my space got bigger. So then I started to be able to go outside and there were different materials out there. So then I was bringing those in. I lived in Portland for some time with my sister-in-law, and I was finding stuff outside of our apartment there. I mean, just where I'm at, I will find things, and that sort of expands the art and changes it based on my environment. So yeah, and it continues to keep happening. I've had some people in Montana. Craig Barrett's a very big patron of mine, and he got a new property, and he wanted to let me just go out there and just explore it. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And there were like a homestead that had been like basically rotten to the ground, but there were like all these cool old blue bottles and rusty things, and it were treasures to me. And I'm like, can I? And he's like, please. Like, he's not use any of that stuff, but to me it was like so neat. And then I made a piece while I was doing a workshop there, and then I gifted it to him and his wife, and they just put it like right by their front door as you go into their home, and just stuff like that where it just keeps sort of growing. And then since that, other people at that same workshop have said, like, would you be willing to come out to our place and maybe collect something and make something for us? And I'm always like, yes. Like, as I get older, I'm becoming more and more of a yes person, and seeing the world more. I'm way more courageous, and I want to be an example to my kids to like keep living and expanding and making mistakes and growing. So my art just sort of keeps taking me places. Yeah.
As I sit here and I look around the room and I see these pieces that are bits and pieces, when I'm walking out in the sagebrush and I see these images today, I have another kind of relationship to the land that you brought into mind. And the thing that's striking to me today is that this is mythological stuff you're doing. Very heavy mythology. And I'd really like to hear what you might say about that. Content is something that you're that conscious of, or it's still developing, or what do you think?
What do you mean by mythological?
Well, you have texts that have been written about mythology, have distances that in various cultures will have different mythologies. People that are part of those cultures oftentimes are artists and shamans and what have you. It's all part of the puzzle of the language of art.
I'm not sure how to answer that, I guess. I guess it's still the material. Like when we go to Santa Fe or shows like that, that we go to crystal shops and things, and I see these things that might just be like such a beautiful sparkling color, and it will actually tell me I'm this, and then it will be the beginning of something that I don't know what it is yet, because I'm becoming more and more open to all material, I think. And I think that it's important, and I think this speaks through my horses and through the material as well. It's like, I'm not ever going to create anything that doesn't, in my intention, be uplifting for other people. And it's also changed the time when I create too. Like, I'm way more decisive maybe about when I'm creating and why. I don't know if that's related to your question, but
Brent, can I say something?
Sure.
I'm glad you're doing it, Dwayne.
So I'm Brenna's dad. When we used to play Pictionary, her and her grandpa, Barbie's dad, would get together, and they were a team. And she was pretty small. So they drew cat. So Brenna put her pencil down on the paper, and she just did this. Never lifted the pencil till she got to the end of the tail again. And so we looked at that. Whoa. So then Barbara said, Brenna, how did you do that? Brenna says, it was easy. The cat's already there. I just drew around it. We went to the store the next day, bought paper, pencils, crayons, anything that we thought, Quite helped her out.
Brenna, I wonder if he's talking with mythology. I'm wondering about that whole time that you did all of those horses and the little pieces of horses that were doing flying, and there was a whole bunch of mythological
Okay.
stuff in that she did. And that was a whole long piece of time.
I did write a memoir, and I was super close to publishing it, and I didn't. And it has all that in there. And I might still need to do that. I got shy, I guess. And I had the editor, the publisher, all of it, but I chose not to do that. But it's all in there, and it's funny you bring that up, but I had beliefs that are strange, and I've grown and I still believe them, sort of. And it's probably because my grandpa told me or something, when you're little you believe it, but I've always thought that there's guardians in animals, and I was always drawing Pegasus and unicorns, but I was also a kiddo who lived in my head. I didn't come down for a long time. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah, and that's in there. It's better because I took the time to explain more of that. But I think it was about other people sort of still, but sharing ways to feel safe and. There's weird beliefs. I don't know how to explain it. It's in there. But, yeah.
How many horses do you have? Do you have a favorite? And
Oh my gosh, that's not fair.
That's a difficult question of all.
I have 5 horses right now. I love them all for different reasons. I like to do different things with them, so they're all basically it's my garage, my sports car, and my SUV. So today I went and rode Z because he's just super solid and grounded, and he just gets me right into alignment really fast, and he's really affectionate. And I just needed to be at my best today because I'm just really doing my best for you all. So I rode him. But then I like to clinic, and I love to learn, and I love to dance with my horse, and that's about body mechanics. And so I have a Frisian sport, and he is a dancer. We used to butt heads, and it's more like a dance partner. We've come a long ways. We've been training with our trainer from Italy for 8 years. We've really stuck it together, and it's amazing. And he's getting older. I hate to think about that. But he's just absolutely incredible, and he's gorgeous. But he wasn't my close to ride today. And then I have Locksaw, and I've had her since she was born. She's my first gift I gave to Jake. And she's pushing 30. She's getting really old too, and she's a whole different thing. When our nephews are here, she's my go-to. And then I have Maddie, and she's a horse that I trained later in life, so she's a little more skittish and still shy and stuff. So when I work with her, I need to really be there for her and almost go back into my younger years. So if I'm feeling I need to take an ibuprofen and take it easy, I do not work with her on her back. But if I'm in the mode of I really want to feel some satisfaction and help her progress, then she's who I'll ride. But I always ride her when Jake's home, so it's safer. And then we have Cupcake, and he's a little mini, and he's just kisses. I kiss him every morning. He kisses, and he's like a dog, and we just love him to pieces. And then we had Cody, who we had to put down because he was ancient, and he didn't have enough teeth to keep nutrition going through his body. And then we had 2 polo horses that Connor was riding, because when we did polo through the COVID time to keep socializing our kids, on the polo field we could all play and still have barbecues and stuff like that. It was a really fun family thing to do to get through that time. But now life has gotten back, and so the horses weren't being used, so they've been rehoused, and they're being used because polo horses need to be used. They're wonderful, but they're athletes, so we weren't doing them justice, so got them to a good space, so.
Tom, there's something else that's happening here. The animation that you bring to these critters, and the movement, and the gesture that's present. There are people who do this similar kind of work in a way, but no one touches it as well as you do.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you, guys.
Hey, maybe one more question, if anybody has it?
Of course, I just find it fascinating. I find myself going in on a structural level, like when you're making a composition, to be able to piece it together as such. Now, where's the sense, where do you find, this spot? Do you get frustrated, at a certain point, or do you find, a sense where you stop working for the day? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Every horse is different. So these pieces came from this tree, from our back window. There was this tree, and it looked like a heart. I loved it because it's this heart every time I look out the window, and it's broken. And so I was like, Jake, I just have a feeling we've got to go to the heart tree. It's broken. And I just wanted to go there. And we had the show coming up, but I didn't expect to find what I found there. And that was the starting of these pieces. And it's a gift to me because I had a show to make work for, and if I can't see it, it's like trying to see something in the clouds. And if it's not there, you cannot see the dog in the clouds. You know? So these pieces were just like, and it was the heart tree. I was freaking out. And it's a really neat view of our house and our horses from that side. So I was just like feeling so blessed and grateful. We had the truck, so Jake was like, oh, let's get them in. So that was the start of this piece. So it came so easy. And I work in my barn. I have the studio, and then I have my breezeway, and then I have my horses, their stalls and things. So I don't know why I wanted to work in the breezeway, not in the studio, which is strange. And it just came together just so fast. And I was home alone when it happened.
And just a prequel to that, do you sketch out the works, or?
No, I just start, it's like playing with Legos. I just start putting them down and seeing what happens. And I didn't know these were going to come into a park either. I had no idea. No idea. But that piece over there I call Wilder. And it fought me up until the show. And it has its knee nailed to the wall because it's still fighting. I just had to give up. They brought me rebar, they brought me wire, I was frustrated. But just like a real horse, it's like if I was to go out and try to execute something too fast with Maddie or Emma. It has to go slow and you just have to be patient, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And there's a good time to just say, okay, well, this is nice, and move on. But I really wanted that piece freestanding, but it was not going to happen. And there's just a type of place where, that's the thing where I'm more considerate of myself. I'm I'm not going to stress on this. And as I get older, I'm just becoming I'm way less stressed. I don't care about as much stuff as I used to. So.
All right. Thank you, Brenna.
Yeah, thank you.